Fonzie. Remember me, Mork from Mork? You once called me the nutso from outer space.
A chrome bumper, a jukebox glow, a quiet Milwaukee night that suddenly snaps to life. Then a leather sleeve enters the frame and gives the world a gentle blessing. Thumbs up. In that instant, America remembered how sweet the 50s could feel and how dangerous cool could look. Happy Days didn't just premiere in 1974. It opened a door to a dream we didn't know we missed. Richie's hope, Marion's warmth, Mr. C's steady hand, and the Fonz a rebel who spoke softly and made the room listen. It was comfort with a spark, nostalgia with a heartbeat. And once it started, the country leaned in. Fact number 10, the lost pilot that lit the fuse. Before the sitcom we remember ever aired, Happy Days existed as a quietly shelved pilot folded into ABC's anthology, Love, American Style. It ran on February 25, 1972. Under the title Love, and the television set later retitled Love and the Happy Days in syndication. Ron Howard played Richie there first, a gentle, eager teen orbiting the glow of a brand new TV, while Marion Ross and Anson Williams also appeared, sketching out the family we'd soon know by heart. The network passed at the time, but the segment didn't vanish. It circulated, and when George Lucas watched Ron Howard's work and then cast him in American Graffiti, 1973, the film's success nudged ABC to dust off Gary Marshall's idea and order a series. A small, nearly forgotten half-hour became the spark for 11 seasons of Americana, proof that sometimes a no is just an intermission before the lights rise again. Fact number 9, the one-night experiment that saved the show. Midway through Season 2, Happy Days was slipping. The tone was gentle, almost like a memory told in a whisper. Lovely, but losing ratings. Gary Marshall gambled on a radical fix. Try one episode in front of a live studio audience. With 3 cameras, louder laughs, bigger timing. On January 14, 1975, Fonzie's Getting Married became that test case. Tom Bosley even announced it at the top. Tonight's Happy Days was filmed before a live audience. The energy snapped into place. The actors started playing to the room, Henry Winkler especially, and the show felt like theater and television at once. The experiment worked so well that, from Season 3 on, the series permanently adopted the live audience, multi-camera style. Even the sets were rebuilt to make space for the new rhythm. That change didn't just freshen the sound, it recentered the show, amped up Fonzie's presence, and vaulted Happy Days to the top of the Nielsen charts within a year. A single episode's applause may have saved an American classic. Fact number 8, the theme song that quietly took over America. At first, the show opened with Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock, a jukebox needle drop that pinned Happy Days firmly in the 1950s, but listen closely to those early seasons. During the closing credits, another tune was sneaking into your memory, a nimble, original melody by Charles Fox and Norman Gimbel simply called Happy Days. By Season 3, Gary Marshall made the switch. The new theme moved from the back of the book to the cover, and television's Good Night became its hello. Then something rare happened. The TV theme broke out as a hit single. Recorded by Pratt and McLean, Happy Days climbed to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1976 and number 3 in Canada. Turning a sitcom signature into a radio staple you could whistle on the way to school. Years later, an updated vocal by Bobby Arvin carried the show's final season. Proof that a few bars of melody can hold an entire era in their hands. A credit roll became a cultural chorus, and it never really stopped playing. Fact number 7, the day Fonzie jumped the shark, and why he really did it. Everyone knows the phrase, fewer know the family story behind it. In September 1977, during Hollywood, Part 3, Fonzie slipped on swim trunks, kept the leather jacket, and water-skied over a pen shark, the moment that later gave pop culture its shorthand for creative overreach. But Henry Winkler has said the stunt wasn't a desperate ratings grab. It was personal. His father, a short, insistent German who loved to brag on his son, kept telling him, "Tell them you water ski." Winkler finally mentioned it to Gary Marshall, and the writers built a set piece around a real skill. Winkler did the skiing himself with clever camera work for the ramp, and the costume team even modified one of his jackets so it could survive a dunk. The episode aired while the show was still a powerhouse, and Happy Days stayed a hit long after. A punchline was born, yes, but so was a small tribute to a father's pride, stitched into a leather sleeve. Fact number 6, the day an alien crashed Arnold's and birthed a star. The script sounded crazy. A spaceman lands in 1950s Milwaukee and tries to whisk Richie to planet Ork. But on February 28, 1978, something electric happened. A shy, little-known comic named Robin Williams walked into the audition. Gary Marshall asked him to take a seat, and Williams calmly sat on his head. Marshall hired him on the spot. On taping night, Williams didn't just hit his marks, he detonated them. The audience roared. The cast adjusted on the fly, and by the curtain call, the room reportedly stood to applaud. Within weeks, ABC had a spin-off in motion. Mork and Mindy. A one-off stunt became a career birth, and a gentle nostalgia piece widened into a door for wild improvisational TV. Watch the scene again. Fonzie stares down the alien. Williams blinks, babbles, invents a world. You can feel a new kind of comedy arriving right there, in a diner built for burgers and milkshakes. Fact number 5. The brother who went upstairs and never came back. Look closely at those early dinners at the Cunningham table. There's a basketball on someone's hip. An older brother named Chuck drifts through the doorway. Hungry, busy, barely staying long enough to finish a sentence. Then, as the seasons turn and Fonzie's star rises, Chuck does something stranger than any stunt. He simply vanishes. No farewell. No telegram from college. 1 week, 3 kids. The next 2, and the family's history quietly rewrites itself. 2 different actors, Gavin O'Harleahy, then Randolph Roberts, played him before the writers let the character fade. A decision that later gave pop culture a new phrase, Chuck Cunningham syndrome. For TV characters erased so completely even their relatives forget to mention them. Henry Winkler once smiled and said it plain. The Fonz became the older brother. The show didn't need to. There's a bittersweet poetry to it. In a series about memory, one memory is deliberately lost. Fact number 4. The day a title change almost broke the family. Success can be a jealous thing. By 1976 and 77, Fonzie's glow was so bright that ABC quietly floated a new marquee, Fonzie's Happy Days. The thinking was simple: put the hottest name in lights and watch ratings climb. But in the rehearsal halls, it felt like tearing the photograph in half. Ron Howard, who'd carried the show's original point of view, told producers he would walk if the series title changed. Not because he begrudged Henry Winkler, but because he believed the magic lived in the ensemble, not one man's shadow. Winkler agreed. No ego. No victory dance. The proposed change was shelved, the title stayed, and the cast held. It's one of those off-camera moments that explains the on-screen warmth. A family chose to stay a family. Years later, Howard said it plainly. He couldn't do a show called Fonzie's Happy Days. The optics were wrong. The balance would break. The star, who might have won, refused to take the prize. And that's why the diner never felt like a stage. It felt like home. Fact number 3, Fonzie's motorcycle, with training wheels off camera. On screen, the Fonz could glide like a knight on chrome. Off screen, Henry Winkler quietly dreaded the bike. He said his dyslexia made the controls a blur. Gas, gear, brake, and during an early attempt, he lurched forward and nearly hit the head of cinematography. From then on, the production staged most ride moments safely. Winkler would mount a stationary bike for close-ups, and the crew or a double handled the movement. The illusion held because Winkler sold it, that famous lean, that easy confidence, while the camera did the rest. It's a tender reminder that cool isn't always about stunts. Sometimes it's poise, teamwork, and a character built between the cuts. And behind that leather comm, another creative compromise was changing the show forever. Fact number 2, the leather jacket the censors tried to hide. In the earliest episodes, the coolest man on TV wasn't allowed to look cool. ABC's standards team thought a black leather jacket signaled delinquency, so Henry Winkler could only wear it if a motorcycle was visible, a safety exception. Gary Marshall found his loophole and leaned in. Bring the bike everywhere. That's why you sometimes see Fonzie parked at Arnold's or drifting into frame with handlebars just inside the shot. Bit by bit, the rules softened, and the jacket became inseparable from the man. So iconic, it eventually went to the Smithsonian, tagged as a piece of living Americana. A compromise with censors became a costume that outlived the era itself, and made a whispering rebel into a folk hero. Fact number 1, the jackpot that woke the Cunninghams. Years after the lights dimmed at Arnold's, a strange message reached Marion Ross. A friend at a casino had pulled a lever, watched cherries spin, and noticed the faces on the slot machine. Happy days, 5 Marion Rosses in a row, meant a jackpot. For the actors, it meant something else: unpaid promises. In April 2011, 5 cast members filed a $10 million suit against CBS, saying their contracts guaranteed a share of merchandising that used their images, not just lunchboxes and trading cards, but even slot machines and DVDs with their faces on the box. The fight wasn't about greed. It was about credit, dignity, and how a family's likeness travels after the applause fades. In July 2012, they settled, about $65,000 each, plus future royalties. A small check by Hollywood standards, but a large marker for legacy. A reminder that the smiles on a reel still belong to the people who made them. The neon at Arnold's flickers, the last malt is finished, and somewhere a jukebox hums itself to sleep. We've walked those quiet Milwaukee streets again, past the porch light at the Cunninghams, past the laughter that curled like warm steam on winter nights. Richie grows up. Joni finds her voice. Mr. and Mrs. C keep the kitchen light on, just in case. And the Fonz, he doesn't say goodbye. He just tips his chin, gives the room one last blessing, and lets the silence speak for him. Maybe that's why Happy Days endures. It remembers us kindly. It keeps the stool open, the music soft, and the door unlocked, so when the heart needs shelter, we always know our way back.